Tubers, I got a little something for y'all here. So, brand new, off the press, just picked it up. And this is the new IWC pilot chronograph in the 43 millimeter. Okay, so I had ordered one. I had went to purchase one and saw one in their glass case, and I went ahead and bought it. When I brought it home, I realized there was a couple things wrong with it. The chronograph second marker, second hand, was slightly off to the 5-minute marker. It wasn't really perfectly up and down, which I wasn't very happy about. Well, actually, no, that's not true. The very first watch was, I purchased the older 43 millimeter, which was the Valjoux movement. And I brought it home and I thought, I really don't like the fact that it's a Valjoux movement. I really wanted this in-house movement of the new version. And I kind of threw it around for a little bit, and for like a day, and then the next day I went out and I went back and I exchanged it for this one. This watch, you got the usual goodies, the warranty paperwork, the manual. It does come with some tools. I did get an additional link. That was nice of them. This watch was purchased at Feldmar in Beverly Hills. So, I could have went to the boutique, but they gave me a pretty good deal, so I didn't want to pass up on the deal and pay the extra, considering it is the same exact watch. And then I went and I thought, okay, I want the in-house movement. So I went ahead and swapped it out for the 69-385 caliber in-house. The first thing I noticed was there was a small nick, like on the dial right next to the sapphire. I wasn't very happy. I was kind of okay with it. It wasn't that big of a scratch. It was a real small nick. But what I did not like was the fact that their chronograph second hand was slightly nudged over to the right. So I went and returned it, and I said, hey, you know what? Is it possible you could just get me a brand new one? And they said, yes, we'll order you a new one. And then that's what they did. And we got the new one here, which took about a couple weeks to pick up. So this I have now. I picked it up like this after today, right around 12 or 12:30, about a few hours ago. So the very first thing we're gonna do is unbox this, unwrap the paper, and when I got it, I actually unwrapped the top section here and took a look, and that second marker is spot on, dead center. It's one of my pet peeves, especially with a chronograph. I know that it's not really the most biggest factor. It's not the most important thing in the world, but when you have the watch and it's always resting at that 12 o'clock marker, you want it to be centered. You don't want it to be off center, like kind of off to the right or off to the left. So I was very glad to see that it was perfectly centered when I picked this one up. Now, if I could figure out how to unwrap this thing, there's an arrow here, but it doesn't really help. There we go. Okay. So as you can see, this is IWC's brand new, most latest release. They released the in-house movement on the 41 millimeter first, and then they released this one more recently. So this is a 43 millimeter case. The height's going to be about 14.8 millimeters. It's got a screw-in crown. On the back here, you'll see that it has the exhibition back, sapphire crystal back. And funny thing, cool thing about this little film right here is that if you actually wear this watch, that those two little markers, they fade and disappear with heat. Quick wrist check while we're here. I'm gonna go and take this off now. We are wearing the Accutron made by Boulevard. This is their newest iteration of the tuning fork movement. However, this isn't a tuning fork. This is an electrostatic watch. So these two turbines here, by spinning through the motion of the arms, as it spins, it creates static electricity, which is being stored here at the transistor, and which in turn turns this rotor, which turns the second hand and the watch. Now, if you will notice one thing about this watch, the second hand, it's a real smooth sweep, just like the Grand Seiko style. Super smooth sweep. It's not like a regular automatic, because it's not an automatic. But we'll go into that a little bit more in detail sometime in the future, as we will do a review on this watch. I have had this watch for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months or so. I'm pretty happy with it, aside from the fact that it's a bit flamboyant for my style, but it is a nice looking watch. Well, for me, it wasn't really the way it looked, but rather the way it was designed, and the fact that it's a completely brand new style of watch making, which excited me. So in here, when it comes to the case and the other version of the with the Valjoux movement, there's a couple things to note. The older Valjoux movement had the second hand. The second hand was not at the 6 o'clock position, but rather it was at the 9 o'clock position. Everything else was basically the same. The layout, everything's a little slightly, well, I shouldn't say that, because the color of the dial is definitely slightly different. The Le Petit Prince has a lighter shade of blue, I want to say. This is a bit darker on this watch. I do like the second hand at the 6 o'clock position a little bit better than the 9 o'clock position. These are the accumulators for the chronograph. But however, I really did want this particular movement, because of one of the thing was the column wheel. This is a column wheel chronograph. As you can see right there, the column wheel chronograph is, what you're gonna get with that is all these buttons. When you push them, you start this chronograph, turn off the chronograph, reset it, it's all gonna feel the same. Every single click is gonna be dialed. It's gonna feel exactly the same, just like it's not gonna be indifferent in any way. Another thing to note is everything else, the dimensions are exactly the same. There is a slight difference in the exhibition case back here for the in-house movement. In the Valjoux, it's a covered backplate. So another thing to know is this bracelet. I really like the way they did this bracelet. This new bracelet style is just immaculate. I mean, I love the way it looks. I love the way it tapers. And that's another thing. The Valjoux movement watch did not have a tapering watch band. This one tapers. And in my opinion, the tapering watch band is way sexier. And another thing to note about this particular watch band is the fact that it's a double button clasp on either side, which is very secure. On the fly adjustment here, you push this, if you want, you just click it in, and on the fly adjustment, I believe it was up to 12 millimeters of adjustment. And brand new out of the box, it fits my wrist perfect. I think I've got a 6 3/4 wrist. And as you can see on my wrist, I mean, it's a big watch, but it sits really nicely. I really enjoy the way it sits on my wrist. So it feels very comfortable. You can get it to your, you have your thick days and you have your thin days. Sometimes your wrist feels a little thicker than other days, and every time you have to go in and try and adjust it, it's kind of a chore. And to have it somewhere in the middle so that it fits you semi-proper, it's kind of whatever. So here you can push on this button right here, the IWC logo button, and it actually extends to give you more room in your watch, and you can have a little more shake, or you can have it a little tighter. All you have to do is just squeeze it in and dial it in, and it's very comfortable. It is by far one of my most comfortable bracelets that I have, I think. From what I've been, how I've tried it on and everything. The edges are, tapered off very nicely. It's not so protruding. It's not so sharp. To be quite frank, this clasp here, when I first put this on, it was really uncomfortable. The edges here would dig into my skin and it would just hurt. And I've got a couple other watches that kind of do that. So, that's what you kind of get that with the leather bands, clasps and whatnot. But like this butterfly clasp, I wasn't very happy. It was really uncomfortable. So what I actually did was I actually took a polishing, what do you call it? Sandpaper / polishing sticks. And I actually ground down the corners here and the edging, and ground it off so that it's nice and smooth. It's like a rounded profile more. And then it became very comfortable. So I wish more manufacturers would think about that, and especially when in my Panerai, it kind of does the same thing. The leather buckle, it digs into my skin quite a bit. So I actually took my sandpaper stick and sanded that down too. And I'm not sanding down the watch, I'm sanding down the clasp. It can be replaced if need be, but I was very careful, and then I polished it at the end, and it came out very nicely. And it no longer digs into my skin here, so it's become more comfortable as now it is. Okay, so that's the case. We got a screw down crown. Another big thing about this watch compared to the Valjoux movement watch that they had earlier was this is a 10-bar watch. That was a 6-bar watch. 60 meters. Yeah, I believe it was a 60 meter water resistance. This is now 100 meters, which I believe is where they should have been from the get-go. So this part is, I haven't seen this watch on the internet, like on YouTube. There's a bunch of the 85 the 14 millimeter 41 millimeter watch, but I have yet to see this watch being reviewed online. So that's why I'm doing this, actually, because I feel that everybody should know that this watch is out there. Okay, down to the movement. 69385 IWC manufactured movement. This is an in-house movement, automatic, self-winding. This watch has 46 hours of power reserve. I wish it had a little bit more than that, but it's okay. And it's got a 4 hertz movement. This watch has 33 joules. The movement itself is very pretty. It's nicely decorated in places where it should be, and the rotor itself, it's not really decorated, but it's got the written, the IWC logo and everything else there, which is very cool. Now, chronograph. This has chronograph functions with hours, minutes, and seconds, day and date display here. So right now we're at 11:20. We really don't want to be doing anything at 11:20. So we're gonna take it out. We're gonna take it away from the 10 o'clock to the between 10 and 2 o'clock. I'm gonna put it somewhere here in the middle. Then we push it back in, push it back out once. Oh, you know, this thing is so solid, it feels really solid. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13th. You spin it the other way, now it changes the day. Okay, so you got the day. You don't want to adjust the dates between, not saying 9 and 3 or 10 and 2, somewhere in between there, because that's when it engages the date mechanism. And by trying to adjust that, you are liable to break something and break that little tab inside the watch. You do want to make sure that you don't do that. Otherwise, you will be going into service. And this has a hacking second hand. The second hand does stop there. Okay, so we can adjust it to, say, 5 o'clock. Okay. And it screws down very nicely. Sapphire glass. This has the arched edges and anti-reflective coating on both sides. So there's anti-reflective coating on the bottom and an anti-reflective coating on the top. You can kind of see the color change, you know, the blue hue of the light, LED light that reflecting off the sapphire, that it's got the coating. One thing about the AR coating is, you know, I have a Breitling that has an AR coating on the underside and the outside, and it does kind of fade over time. The color does discolor slightly, so, you know, but I guess it's good to have rather than not have, but it is one of those things that you do have to watch for, because over time it does kind of have a tendency to diminish. So this is the watch that I wanted to review for you guys. This is definitely I believe this is going to become one of my favorite watches to wear. I do like the brushing and the polish. The polished center links. It's very classy. These are the tools that you use to separate your timepiece, your bracelet here. You can, every single link has a button on it. You push that button and it will come apart. So button here, button here, button here, button all the way along up on one side, and then along the other side there's a button on all the way down the side as well on either side. So this means that you can take whatever piece bracelet out of here and then replace it with whatever you want to. Maybe you got a big scratch on it, you know, you got a huge gash over here and you wanted to replace that particular link. Well, you can actually do that. You know, so that's a huge plus. Another thing that I did forget to mention is how easy this strap. That's how easy it is. Easy change strap. You just push this button right here. You just click it back and it slides right up. And in this case, you slide it in. And you're in. And secure. The tolerances are so tight and precise. Yeah, you have hardly any movement there. It's really solid. I really enjoy this. I'm really enjoying this bracelet quite a bit. And the fact that it is tapered, again, that was one of my criteria. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to go to this, because of the tapered bracelet. The straight down bracelet seemed a little bulky for the watch. This tapered bracelet actually really does it justice. And it's sexy. you know, it's just more sexy. It's got more curves. It's got more lines. If this, can you imagine this line all the way straight down, and the buckle just being, you know, slightly larger because of that as well. Yeah, everything about this watch is supreme, primo. Good, great job, IWC. I really am enjoying this watch immensely. Thank you very much. And there's a little thing here, a button there, pops that out, slide that out. That goes inside there for you to access in the future whenever you want to, in order to change whatever watch, and it clicks back into place. And that goes in there, and this one goes in here, right on top, double clicker. There you go. You can put this in your suitcase, briefly, you know, just kind of travel with it, go to the hotel and set it up, and you have a nice secure place to put your watch. I might even use this to accommodate my other watches when I actually do take it on vacations and whatnot. If you get this watch, I would highly suggest getting the bracelet. Yeah, definitely. This watch is the bracelet is out of this world. Another quick thing that I completely forgot to mention is that on the loom, for the loom for the Le Petit Prince, compared to the loom on this one, there is a difference. On this particular one, it was much thicker. It's much thicker. The loom is, you know, it's rounded, whereas the Le Petit Prince is kind of flat, and the loom, there's just not that much there. On this particular, on this model here, the IW378004, the loom markers, the hour markers, and the 12 o'clock marker is actually domed, meaning that there's actually more of it. So I'm anticipating this to become to be more bright. I'm gonna check that real quick, and that's the loom right there. Okay. It is kind of a bummer that they only did the 12, 3, 6, and 9. I really wish that they would have done the 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11. But it's kind of their thing, I think. And it's not terribly difficult to tell the time. And, you know, with the loom, it's, you know, so for example, right now it would be 6:05. Or no, I'm sorry, 5:07. So 5:07. So it's not terrible, but it does take a small bit of time to kind of register what the actual time is. Other than that, I think it's I think we're about to wrap it up here. Yeah. Pretty watch. All right, that's a vid. Hope you enjoyed. Give it a like, subscribe.